And now, with no further ado, here he is, Luka's best pal, or at least the best shooter I've ever seen until I saw Luka. It's Kevin Hench. What's the poop, fella?
Oh my God, it's been a crazy few days in the world of sports, and I think we love sports. We like gambling, but we love
I may
sports.
be off of sports, by the way. I don't know that
Okay.
I agree with
And
your
okay, well,
assertion
you're in
that
luck.
we like
You're in luck
sports because I may be out now.
because apparently the people who own our professional sports teams don't like sports either. I mean, this is like when you go back to the Harry Frazee saying, I want to finance this play. No, 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 net. I need 100 grand. Hey, Yankees, here's Babe Ruth. Like, this is not a guy who gave a fuck about baseball. They didn't fucking care about baseball. Like, I got a Broadway play that I care more about than baseball. So obviously, Mavericks ownership doesn't give a flying fuck about basketball. I think that's obvious that they're like, oh yeah, we're not really sports fans. We're gambling fans. We're a casino company, and we want a casino in Dallas. We want a casino basically on every freeway exit in America. And if it takes destroying a sport or a sports franchise, we don't care. We're not sports fans, and this happens periodically where we get reminded that these fucking monsters that own our sports teams probably don't care about sports nearly as much as we do. And so this idea that, Luka Doncic is just a chit, just something in your financial empire. And of course, you can give him to the Lakers for 30 cents on the dollar, not worry about the repercussions. Like it's like, yeah, they don't fucking care. They don't, Miriam Adelson doesn't give a flying fuck about basketball. And so it's a bummer. It's a huge fucking bummer, obviously for Dallas Maverick fans, but for all of us, when the Red Sox decided not to pay Mookie Betts, it was like, oh shit, we thought you guys liked baseball. You're just, John Henry is just a fucking cyborg who figured out a way to turn, fake money into more fake money with his derivatives. He's just, he's on the spectrum. He doesn't fucking care about hitting the cutoff man or moving the runner over. None of these people know anything about fucking sports. And so it's grim. It's really grim
I
that
agree, except can we just go back? How do you like? I could swear I heard Miriam Adelson saying that she thought that the Mavs offense should really run through the high post, and she thought AD could really help get it there.
exactly,
No, is that not?
exactly.
Is that I
It's just,
misunderstood that?
it's just, as we vanish into the broligarchy, we are kind of, when the Soviet Union broke up and the breakaway republics just said it's full capitalism now, no regulation, no laws, like that's where we're at. And so, we think the games are important. We're like, oh, I want to watch the Super Bowl. I want to watch the NBA finals. I want to watch the Stanley Cup finals. Like all that matters is Kevin Hart and Jamie Foxx injecting fucking fentanyl into the population. Do you think gambling is good for America? You think gambling is going to fucking be a good result? Now, listen, I believe that freedom is good for a society, but we draw lines. We're like, yes, people should be able to drink Jack Daniels, which is, grown-ups should be able to drink Jack Daniels, which is also not good for society, but we're going to draw the line at fentanyl. And when it comes to gambling, it's like, we're not going to draw the line at fentanyl. You can gamble fucking all the time, anywhere, and individual states might be saying like, geez, we don't think this is good for our society. But, this is Miriam Adelson clearly thinks gambling is more important than the Mavericks being a contender. So here we are. I find it utterly depressing. Obviously, the I don't know what Adam Silver does. I don't know what time he sets his alarm. I don't know if he gives a shit about his league. But hey, man, get a fucking hold of it
Probably
because
sets it to 10, right?
yeah,
Instead of 12.
or
Get
just
it? Because he wants the
just
shortened quarters. I don't know.
wakes up when yeah, 10 minutes. But get a hold of it, man. This thing where it's like, any GM could enter into collusion with another GM, just openly say, "Oh no, we didn't shop him." we didn't try to get market value. We didn't even try. We did not try to find out what the market would yield. We did not try to get 5 first round picks. We didn't. We did a private interaction with the team that always gets the superstar of the moment.
I
Like,
was
it's
just going to
fucking
say
insane.
that
It's
that's the
fucking insane.
conspiracy theory is that somebody, whether it was LeBron, maybe it was Adam Silver, that somebody understood that the value to the league would be for one of its biggest stars to land in Los Angeles, like you say, from Shaq to Wilt and a million other
Kareem.
Kareem, a million other examples of this sort of thing going down here. It doesn't sound like that's the case, but are you suggesting here that you don't buy that?
Well,
You don't
it's the
think Adam Silver
result.
knew in
It's
advance?
the result. Like, whether,
Yeah.
it's like this is the result, is that this franchise gets
Which is
the
why he doesn't care, which is why Adam Silver's sort of like, this is ultimately
yeah.
good for the league. By the way, I just have
Had
to say
nobody
very
saying,
quick.
so things saying like,
Yeah.
the difference, obviously, Kareem made it clear, I don't want to fucking live in Milwaukee. So you were going to get Elmore Smith because Kareem had already declared, I am worth 30 cents on the dollar because I'm not going to be here. So you didn't have to offer the Bucks, and obviously this is a different sports landscape 53 years ago, but you didn't have to offer the Buck. There was no offer for what Kareem was worth. You're going to win a bunch of championships with Kareem because he's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Luka wanted to play in Dallas. Luka wasn't forcing his way out of Dallas. This is just an insane, and obviously Spaghetti sent us the long thread that I think explained it very well. It's the plot of Major League. You don't want to give us our casino in Dallas? Be a shame if something happened to that basketball team you hillbillies love so much. So now here we are. This thing of, Mavs were going to be interesting, and I think after that run to the finals last year, what Luka and Kyrie proved was you can actually have bad defensive players on the court for most of the game if they are able to create a better than average shot every possession in crunch time. It was changing the calculus of basketball. And now it's like, well, we're just not going to get to see how far you can take that. By adding Klay Thompson. It was going to be interesting, and now it's not interesting, obviously. I mean, this idea that you're not like obligated by the NBA Constitution to try to get the maximum value for your franchise is fucking insane. It's so reprehensible. And by the way, GM, hey, Nico Harrison, if everybody thinks you're doing the plot to Major League, maybe you fucked up. Like, are you reading the reviews of your trade? You got fucking nothing. I mean, has the popsicle sticks that hold AD together have yielded these good stats for a season and a half.
I
But
think
it's
it's
like,
the head to toe compression stuff he
does
wears. That's the
anybody
that
think that guy has a title run in him? It is nuts. And whereas
I
Frank
think
Vogel,
that's the part of the conspiracy theory that has fascinated me. Do you think Nico? I have long sort of floated the idea that you ever see the movie? I think it was like 1981. It came out. Flash Gordon. It got a second life a few years ago. Starship Troopers. You ever see Starship
sure,
Troopers?
yeah,
I contend that everybody who was a part of the production was in on the fact that it was satire, except for the two stars. I don't think they told Chaz Sheen's ex-wife, whatever her name is, I can't think of her name, and the David Chikachi. No, it wasn't whatever the stars. I think they didn't let them in on it. They let their overacting do all the work. I
well,
feel like
Casper
Nico is
Casper
the
Van
pawn in
Dien,
this. What's
Casper
that?
Van Dien, Casper Van Dien.
Casper Van Dien. Right, right, right. Yeah, I think they were giving their best, most earnest acting performance. The problem is that they're terrible actors, but that worked for the satire that Verhoeven was going for. I think the same thing here. Nico didn't have all the information there, and now he was doing his earnest best, and this is the result there. I also think too that the larger conversation, aside from the Adelson agenda specifically, I think that it's all like working around the edges here to try and change something that is fundamentally screwed, which is why the NFL continually wins against these other leagues, which is the NBA, as Adam Silver just kind of told us in the last week or two, is like, I'd rather go to 10-minute quarters than to modify the length of the regular season, because of course that's a non-starter for us. We can't go down to 70 games because of the revenue we get. The owners and the players are all dependent on us playing the length of the regular season as it stands. There's no way we can reduce that because it would ding the bottom line for us. And so now they come up with all this other jive. It's also why Adam Silver's sort of like, oh well, the end result is good for us. Luka is now on the Lakers. That's only good news for our league, but it doesn't change the fact that the 82 game schedule is way too long. And the thing it doesn't change is that the NBA, even more than the NHL and Major League Baseball, feels to me when you're watching the games in January or February or December, it always feels to me like going to see a stand-up comedian at Largo or somewhere in a small club in Los Angeles where they're still working out their set. They bring the notebook out even. They'll literally just refer to the notebook. Like, I'm working on this bit here. I'm trying to work out my best 10 minutes here before I have to go national with it, before I have to take it to the big stage, AKA the playoffs, when it'll actually count. And I don't think there's any way around any of that. The NBA is broken almost beyond repair. And I don't think any of this really changes it. It just highlights it, right?
Well, it's funny because, as somebody who still watches regular season NBA basketball, it is shocking to me how little effort teams give.
Well, just like I say, it's like we're trying to work out this set. We're literal basketball sets
But it's
instead of
like it's sort of a handshake agreement between the two teams. Like, hey, don't we'll go at it in the fourth quarter. Obviously, you can play as hard as you want in the fourth quarter, but if we both agree to jog around for three quarters, then we can all kind of have most of the night off. And it's weird, having grown up with Larry Bird, obviously, you were in Chicago for parts of the Michael Jordan era. You just don't remember Michael Jordan. Yeah, he's going to take this possession off. He's playing basketball. Why wouldn't he want to strip this guy? Why wouldn't he want to dunk on this guy? Like, you're already on the court. Why not try your hardest? You remember, like, people would get mad at me at Corollas for fucking playing as hard as I'm like, yeah, if you get a defensive rebound and you take a dribble, I'm going to fucking take it away from you. Like, I was just like, I'm not going to let you get it.
I'm sorry. It was not personal. I had to block your shit over and over and over again. You didn't want to get the message. I had to do it.
That's what you were known for, effort. Anyway, so yeah, I don't like it is
silky left.
It is this sad thing. It's a perfect example. It's like, the Celtics, it's hard when you're the champs. Like, fuck, when did the playoffs start? And the Celtics have just been having this jogging, when do the playoffs start? Malaise, losing to the Raptors, beating the Pelicans by 2. And then they go into Cleveland and it's like, oh, we're playing the number 1 team in the league. And the Celtics go up 20 immediately. And they're denying everything and they're extending the defense. You're like, yeah, you could do this every night, right? You're 26 years old. It would be okay to try this hard every night. It's like, why? We get paid the same, So yeah, I mean, obviously this Luka thing is depressing. It's like, you say it's good for the league, but it's really only good for one team. And it's like the Shohei thing. Is it so good for the Dodgers that it's good for the league? Like, well, there are a lot of fans in other cities. Like, and if you convince a generation of Mavericks fans, you don't really have to follow the NBA anymore. I don't know how that's like, we can't all root for the Lakers. We can't all root for the Dodgers. You have to have other teams. And when your team is the Washington,
but it's the same thing as I've said to you a million times about, it's the same reason why baseball is better when the Yankees are good. College football is better when Notre Dame and Alabama are relevant. It's one of those things. Lakers and Celtics and Knickerbockers to a slightly lesser degree. It's just one of those things. The sport is better when the known entity, when the iconic brands are good.
I think, this is a little different. I think that, you have a fan base that is that a lot of people are just going to say fuck it and, spend their money elsewhere,
It's already happening. To jump in on this, I mean, they lost a million Instagram like the Dallas Mavericks official account lost a million Instagram followers the minute the trade happened, and then they're offering refunds. I think they're offering $2,000 refunds to season ticket holders who are already canceling their tickets for next season because their packages. So I think all of Dallas already bought into this ownership group with their nefarious plans of the casino. And I think two interesting things about this trade. But I'm interested to see what you guys think on this. Like, there's no way that Nico makes that trade because he would be like, wait, what's going on? We're doing what? Like the ownership group had to tell him, like, oh, we're doing this for this reason. And I bet they're like, well, if you don't do it, we're firing you. And if you do it, you're going to get crushed by everyone in the public, but we'll keep you around if you make this trade go through. And I think that's definitely true. And I think the other
Hmm.
shocking aspect to it is the
Well, and
fact that
Kidd also looped in at some level too, right?
I guess so, because he probably
I'm
would
sure when
flip
they
out.
were when they were about to complete the trade, they were like,
Yeah,
"Hey, does anyone want to tell Jason Kidd so
exactly.
he can sit here like a fucking deaf mute at the dais saying nothing?" Like,
Right.
obviously, he has no role in it. I'm
It-
sure, he given the way he played, I'm sure he doesn't personally care for Luka, but his team just got a lot worse.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's just no way that Nico would, if he just said no to the group, there's just the ownership, like there's no way
Well,
he
I
would be
was
able
saying this
to.
is, he could have been a hero, and I don't know what it would have meant for his future employment, which is all anyone ever thinks about, which is fair. But like, I think Chaim Bloom should have just, when Red Sox ownership told him to get rid of Mookie Betts, I would have been like the acting FBI director Driscoll, who's like, yeah, you got to fire all the FBI agents who prosecuted the January 6th insurrection. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. He knows Cash Patel will. I mean, he's just like, but I'm not going to do your bidding. That's stupid. Those guys are, first of all, they're all Trumpers. They're in the fucking FBI. You think they're big wokies? Um, and so he's like, I'm not going to do it. And I think if Bloom or Harrison had just been like, oh no, you're going to have to fire me, and then I'm going to get to explain why you're firing me. They told me to trade Luka for 30 cents on the dollar. I said, no way.
Mhm.
Like, wouldn't that guy be an attractive GM? My commitment is to the team, you know.
Right. He's probably have a lifetime job there. And then speaking of who knew about it, like the fact that LeBron, and we've seen how close LeBron is with Jeannie Buss, who apparently was looped in when they, like, some reports coming up, that there were a select few people that knew this like a month or so in advance. And like, because there's no way LeBron would know, would be told, because then he would alert Rich Paul, and obviously AD is a Rich Paul client, and LeBron would have for sure shut down this trade, or with the help of Rich Paul, because he's no longer now the centerpiece of the Lakers. Like, this entire season was like, oh, cool, LeBron's playing with his son. And then now all of a sudden it's like, all right, LeBron, move over. Like, we have our, almost 26-year-old superstar who's going to be, the face of the franchise. Like we're just talking about, that the Lakers always seem to fall into their lap of getting a new face of the franchise. And LeBron now is being phased out. Like, I don't think there's any shot in hell that LeBron and Rich Paul will let this trade happen, to trade away their guy AD and to bring in somebody who's like not part of like that circle.
Well, it's funny. I think that, Clutch Sports has so many conflicts of interest. And, I always joke about LA, and I would say to my Mookie Betts friends, these my Red Sox fan friends who live in LA, they're like, fucking, how could the Red Sox have done this? And it's kind of like, hey, you guys moved to LA from Boston. Like, people want to live in LA. That's part of the problem. So it's like, so, you know, once AD has served his purpose and brought the intramural bubble championship to LA, it's like, you're only a pawn in a larger thing. And now, AD, you can go, you can leave. We don't need you anymore. We don't think you're the key to this puzzle. And so Clutch obviously has an LA centric, even whether Luka's a client or not, Clutch wants LA to be the center of the basketball universe. And so, AD being a sacrificial lamb in that process, I don't think bothers Rich Paul at all. Who cares? Let's keep LA relevant, because the the Clarkson, Crittenden, when the Lakers were terrible, like the you know
Mhm.
Jody Meeks, like that's no good. So yeah, everyone's just
Well,
a
also
pawn.
it's good, the takeaway is the big loser here. It feels to me, besides Mavericks fans, is Anthony Davis. I mean, what a gut punch. He must have a decent sized ego. Now he's been brought to earth. Like you're an also ran man. You're a throw in to this deal to sort of justify it. Um,
Are you
I'm
kidding?
interested.
He must be like, holy shit, I was traded for Luka Doncic? I thought I was washed up.
Look at you, glass half full. You're right. That is the pick me up AD and his unibrow needed. Yeah, and LA, it sort of suits as we talk about. I love when a team, when a brand has an identity, and they ride it for decades. I mean, the Lakers' identity now kind of fits the city, or the city fits the basketball team, and now so does the Major League Baseball team. It's just a whole bunch of mercenary free agents, including us, right? Everybody is from somewhere else. So many other people, or at least probably the biggest percentage of transients in the U.S. is in Los Angeles. So I think it sort of fits the vibe out here. Um, for him to be here, right? At least we can point at that. No,
Well, I mean, I think that the NBA needs a new superstar that's not 40 years old like LeBron. And so putting Luka there, even though he's a foreign player in the LA market, will help prop him up. I do think that that's helpful, but I still don't think the relationship with, I don't think LeBron would welcome this because of the same type of player. So I do think there will be a weirdness. And I would not be shocked if
I
LeBron wants to go
I
to like Golden
that's
State or
right.
something.
Well, that's the only place he'll want to go, and it feels like that could possibly happen. But to
Mhm.
Hench's point, we're all free agents, and I think that the problem for us in the age of free agency as sports fans is we want the consistency. We want the main character to stay the main character. It's weird for our eyes to watch the guy who played Captain America also play the Human Torch in the Fantastic Four. You can
And you
only get
want
to
to
play one
believe,
superhero a lifetime, but these
when
free agent superheroes get to play in many different situations. Sorry, Ange.
you and your kid are watching the game together, when you're passing these passions down through the generations, you just want to believe that ownership cares as much as you do. Like
Mm-hmm.
that they bought a professional basketball team because they like basketball, or, I mean, and you do get ownership groups that are clearly fans. And I think that's part of the bummer of Mark Cuban not being the face of the Mavericks, because it's hard to imagine that guy who loves winning going like, oh, this is just part of my portfolio and I'm happy watching a bunch of losses because I've enhanced my portfolio over here.
Well, but didn't he? Is it right to say, in the butterfly effect of things, that this wouldn't have happened had Mark Cuban not sold his majority stake? And the reason he did that was because of the whole sex scandal stuff a couple years ago, right? That he had the distance from that. And so that's how we wound up with this much worse situation if you're a Mavericks fan. I think that's right.